right above 20, but thank you so much for sticking around and giving us an opportunity to collect some of these questions. And Patty and Sandra are still getting them sorted out, but I asked them to kind of trickle a couple in so that we can start through a few of these. Some of the questions ask the same question in different ways, so they're kind of sort of do that now. But to each candidate, the same question. You'll have 60 seconds to respond to this. And we will start with Mark. If Stokesdale can do without property tax, why can't Summerfield?
Summerfield has over the years had projects going that Stokesdale has had, and determined some years ago that in order for the projects to be funded, that they would need some assistance from the property tax. And that's the way the property tax was done, and that's where we are right now.
Thank you. Don, if Stokesdale can do without a property tax, why can't Summerfield?
I suppose Summerfield could do without a property tax. However, the money is shared to all towns, and I think it's, again, I go back to my original point earlier, is if we keep our budget extremely low, it's not about growing our town, it's about keeping as much in the pockets of the taxpayers. And if we could get to that level, I think we could do that. But I think it's, again, we need to be consistent in what we do. We can't change the rules and keep changing them and confusing people. Could we do it? Probably.
John, a 60-second response to the same question. If Stokesdale can do without a property tax, why can't Summerfield?
Summerfield could probably do without property tax, but not for long, because that's the only income we got coming in. Stokesdale has got income coming in from the water system, and that's helping to support their budget, which our money that we have in the bank, we're trying to support the budget off of it and the low property tax that we charge. I think that eventually we didn't, then we wouldn't be able to provide any service at all, period. And then eventually the money's going to run out, and then we'll have to go back, and then the tax will be high. I'd like to see the tax maintained around 2.5 cents every year if possible, and you can with proper management of the budget. So, and still provide some service for our citizens. But without it, we wouldn't have no service, and eventually the town would be broke.
Becky, same question. You want to repeat it? Sure. If Stokesdale can do without a property tax, why can't Summerfield?
Well, I think we can. We have, without a property tax, we have about $800,000 per year coming in from the interest income and our reserves and from utility fees. And if we keep basic services private and not government implemented, then we can keep low to no property taxes.
Jeff?
I actually think Summerfield could go with no property tax. I think the equation, the critical thing in the equation is the spending. Certainly if we continue to spend the level of money we're spending, I don't think we can. But you know, to Becky's point, it is not the only source of revenue. And actually you go on the website, the town website, and you'll see that between intergovernmental revenue and investment earnings, we actually do get, and miscellaneous fees, close to $800,000 of income a year just from those sources alone. So I actually do believe we can manage the government to keep expenses at or below that $800,000 level.
Diane?
I think the folks in Stokesdale are wonderful and like them, but you know, Stokesdale tried to incorporate one, or they did incorporate one time before, and it didn't work out for them, so they reincorporated and they had to do things a little bit differently. One thing you've got to do when you have something and you're going to dip out of it, you've got to put something in it, or sooner or later the bucket will go dry. And so I think that a low property tax is suitable. My property tax wasn't very high. Of course, I don't own a whole lot of property in Summerfield, but I could afford what they were charging me. I could pay that in 1 month. So I'm just saying to consider a small property tax and be able to keep putting some money back into the bucket so that it won't go dry. So we'll be able to be here in the future and not have to back up.
Rich?
Well, part of the problem with the question is that nobody's addressing where Summerfield's going, okay? That we have a lot of potential obligations that need to be addressed or may need to be addressed. DOT assigning the roads to us. Fortunately, we may have dodged a bullet with the whole Jordan Lake rules and requiring property acquisitions and things like that on behalf of the town and developments in the community. So I think there needs to be some tax rate. I think that forfeiting, and my wife equates it to a 401k contribution, not having a property tax and giving up the matching funds or a portion of the matching funds by the Guilford County sales tax is kind of, in a way, irresponsible financial management. That you need to look at where the town's going, the services that it needs or the citizens want to be provided to them, and have an appropriate tax rate.
Thank you. Next question, a 60-second response. Don, we'll start with you. Do you believe the council should have opened up the manager's position to a candidate search, or do you believe the best, most qualified applicant was chosen?
Well, now that I know Michael, I think he's well qualified for that position. And he is familiar with our area. If you pay attention to Greensboro, when they do their searches for new people that handle the town, the manager, they go further out, they come back, and turnover, don't quote me on this, is a little higher than what we have going on out here. So I think it's important that we did have somebody local who understands the area that he lives in.
Mark, the same question, a 60-second response. Do you believe the council should have opened up the manager position to a candidate search, or do you believe the best, most qualified applicant was chosen?
I do not believe that we should have opened it up for a candidate search. I think we have a jewel in the hand, and Michael was worked with us as a planner, as administrator, and then as town manager. He knew the town, knew the people intimately, and knew our issues, knew at that time our parks project, our ball field projects, and it would be like, had been like throwing out the baby with the bathwater. I'm totally against the search due to the quality of the person we have.
John, a 60-second response to the same question. Would you like to repeat it?
Back when we were looking for an administrator, we took applications, we reviewed all applications, and Michael was the best application, best qualified for that position as administrator. Then when we came up with the manager form of government, Michael had already been performing those duties outstanding. He was well knowledgeable in other fields other than just administrator. He was in planning, and we had a lot of projects going on with the park and everything. If we brought a new person on board, it would have set all those things back at least another year. So yes, we made the best choice without having to do a search.
Thank you. Becky, the same question, a 60-second response. Would you like to repeat it?
Yes, please.
Do you believe the council should have opened up the manager position to a candidate search, or do you believe the best, most qualified applicant was chosen?
To the first part of your question, yes. The second part of your question, I challenge even the premise of the question. How can you say that the best, most qualified applicant was chosen if you didn't open it up to anyone else in the first place?
Thank you. Diane, a 60-second response to this question, please. How can a town get more feedback from citizens in order to get a majority consensus on issues?
Please say that again.
Sure. How can a town get